and saying all the metrics of data for the very first 3 games nearby English Premier League before he went on the international breaks now. It looks as if all of those metrics are out, and Chelsea are leading in some very interesting. One is that this weekend Chelsea are going to go away to go and play at Brentford, our English Premier League. I mean, Charlie, Brentford has been a little bit not too consistent under our new manager. And see, it's going to make that game a little bit difficult. I mean, you don't know the kind of Brentford that you're going to expect. Omoko away to Wolves was a tricky game. Omo first game against Sunderland was a tricky game. It's a game which was expected, but I've said it several times. Last season away at Brentford in a very hot afternoon, 0-0 Chelsea Cowboy with Thomas Frank Brentford side now on him. Of course, you may come on, there are lots of things, a lot of clubs updates also. Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, every one of them was on Fiifi Manfred on YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing us. Also subscribe to the channel and I'm sure subscribe, turn on notification, in the notification turn it on. Choose it all just so anytime that there is content, you are first to have it always on Fiifi Manfred on YouTube. A very, very important part. Subscribing, turning notification. Of course, we investors so then the codes are in the description of the video below. And then World Cup qualifiers, African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Those games are right there for you to go and pick up the codes and go and win something around Fiifi Manfred on YouTube. So get it done. Go into the description below, pick up those codes and get the job done on them just so everything goes on well for you over there. It's very, very important for us to enjoy all of the analysis. We'll see how things are going to go. As we shown on this day, 3 years ago, Graham Potter was sacked at Chelsea. Potter. Charlie, but Potter made some of us really struggle. Wow. It reached some time. They will not sleep safe. Charlie, things were bad under Graham Potter. If you look at, he played 22 games for Chelsea, 7 wins out of 22. Hey, 7 draws, 8 defeats, 21 goals, conceded 21 and scored 21, and then games failed to score 9 of them. Graham Potter. Charlie, that is such a bad record. Bad record for Abrantia, your friend Graham Potter as a manager at Chelsea Football Club. I mean, see, that was the very first appointment of the new Chelsea owners, not Todd Bowley, Baghdad, Gbali when they took over. So it was Thomas Tuchel. That was the manager when these American investors took over at Chelsea, and they had to sort of reinvent. They had to sort of bring up a squad that would be able to play in there and then get the results that they wanted to go on and do their things now. That is what they wanted. And they felt that, okay, I mean, Brighton has been a very stable club building model and that Blue Mononia the other day. So they let us bring in a certain Graham Potter who has the experience of working at Brighton and Hove Albion. But bro, it did not work. It did not work at all. Graham Potter game, when he played against when he became a Chelsea coach, it did not work. On all levels, it did not work. And Chelsea, if you know, obviously now, I've moved on from Graham Potter. But 3 years ago, exactly on this day, my friend here, your friend Graham Potter, was sacked as the Chelsea manager. I mean, something that has been very, very interesting over there for Chelsea Football Club. What do you say? In the last 19 matches, Chelsea for now have been very, very good. Only a loss against Newcastle and Flamingo. But in all of them, it has been good results. Chelsea have managed to win all of them under Enzo Maresca. And in this weekend game, Chelsea and Brentford Bono. Chelsea for now starting a preview. Like I said, it's going to be a game that will become a little bit tricky. And tricky in the sense that if you look at where Brentford are on a new manager, the kind of football that they want to play, how good they have been playing their games now. It's a team that you don't want to take too much from. You want to give them the respect that they deserve when it comes to playing in the English Premier League. Of course, there is a new manager bounce that has come in, and it's a new manager bounce now. It's going to give them some motivation, isn't it? After 3 games, Liverpool are unbeaten, 3 wins straight away. Chelsea, 2 wins, 1 draw. Arsenal, 1 loss, and then 2 wins. And Brentford, league table. They have been struggling over there. They are somewhere in and around the top area of the league table, not so good for Brentford for, and they would want to begin to perform well in English Premier League game. If you look closely at Sunderland and even higher than them, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Man United, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Leeds United, Manchester City, and then Brentford were 15th position. We need just one game this season, one game per. In a Brentford for Asher. On my first game, on my boy, our English Premier League game, they played against Nottingham Forest. They lost by 3-1 away. The City gone away no Coco Lucia. Then they played in the English Premier League also against Villa. Almost winning by 1-0 and then of course they went away to go and play Sunderland. So 2 away games they've lost, and then the 1 home game they've played. So it means that at home they may be a team that you need to be very careful. So on your mobile, when you're careful playing against team and friend of Brentford, they are going to be in so much trouble, and Chelsea are going to play against them. And Chelsea would have to prepare, and the data sets now about Montini tells us when Chelsea play in a lot of the games, people have said so Enzo Maresca usually doesn't. It's not direct. People to take it a ball and check the door. They hold on too long to the ball. But the data from the English Premier League seem to suggest otherwise. If you look at the data, the number of build-up attacks versus number of direct attacks in less than 10 passes for teams in the English Premier League in the 24-25 after game week 3. The team or building up on too many passes or straight, very transitional. Manchester United, higher number of build-up and attacks and high number of direct attacks. That is team and friend Manchester United. Seriously an outlier. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Aston Villa. Then there is Nottingham Forest. There is Liverpool, Chelsea, and Brighton. And Chelsea and Brighton are more of they keep the ball better, and then they try to play for them. Arsenal for there. They don't marry it well. It's purely also straightforward over there for themselves. So Chelsea, I don't think I watched the last time when the list of teams created the most chances in the English Premier League. Manchester United and Chelsea were right there in the mix in terms of teams building up very well, creative, very, very good chance. Number of build-up attacks versus direct attacks, number of build-up attacks versus number of direct attacks, and so the average number of shots taken and average number of shots conceded from teams in the English Premier League. You can see teams like Chelsea more very, very good defensive solidity. They prevent you from creating more quality chances against them, whilst they're able to create high quality chances against you. Enzo Maresca, a huge game away at Brentford. It's not going to be easy. I think that is going to be a game, a very, very difficult part for Chelsea for and Premier League for said this week. On your back, and there's going to be Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Brighton, and Hove Albion, Crystal Palace versus Sunderland, Everton versus Aston Villa, Fulham versus Leeds United, West Ham United versus Spurs, Newcastle, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Brentford, Chelsea, which on Saturday at 8 o'clock Saturday in May, and then of course on Sunday there's going to be Burnley, Liverpool, there's going to be Man City, Manchester United. That is going to be the game because on this weekend, our English Premier League in Melbourne. Like I said, Enzo Maresca, Ejitum said this is a game where he has to be able to go in there and then go and get the results now. It's not going to be easy. And again, the setup at Chelsea and Coleman since the international break now, nobody has gotten any injury issue. In fact, Cole Palmer is going to return. In the last few hours, you're seeing Cole Palmer has returned to training with players no international break, which is very, very good for Chelsea. Again, Liam Delap, Everton maybe for 2 more weeks, and then we're expecting to return. There's also going to be Joao Pedro, won the last match. Had much now. Enzo Fernandez did not go for the international break. There's going to be Moises Caicedo, who also plays his last game over there. So it's good stuff with respect to Chelsea for in the build up to such a very, very huge game. The conversation in and around it over there, and it's important. Say Enzo Maresca and Brentford will prepare their team and prepare it very well for the subsequent games. Also in the next few weeks now. But really intriguing conversation with respect to Enzo Maresca and then Brentford. And when they're able to get the win, and the last time said Chelsea should be able to be consistent from now till maybe the end of the season, ultimate ball games consistently. now also consistent. And like I said, there are lots of London derbies that Chelsea will be playing from now to the end of the season. They should be able to be very consistent. They should be able to win their games consistently. Once you build that momentum and consistency, it's good. And again, in the context of how Chelsea do not have Tosin Adre, do not have Levi Cole or Lenny Cole Palmer in the last few games, they've played well. It's good for them. And the fact that the new players are also playing in very well. And Mario said right after Brentford and the subsequent games, there's going to Manchester United, there's going to be Bayern Munich or Champions League. Marco Correa has played 2 games for the Spanish La Roja, and in playing that Spanish La Roja 2 games, he played all of them 90 minutes for Spain. For what it means is that Chelsea would have to manage a bench friend Marco Correa. Does it mean that against Brentford, Jarrell Hatu would have to play a left back, send Marco Correa can rest, and then of course the Bayern game Chelsea can, because Kuku played a full 90 minutes and helped Spain record famous 6-0 win over Turkey last night, which was very, very good part for our Manchester friend Marco Correa. Of course, Reece James also has played consistently in there. For the French national team, Malo Gusto hasn't particularly played too much. So I'm very certain that Chelsea for most likely are going to give him some more minutes when it comes in. It feeds into the fact that everybody sees that Chelsea for have the best 2 fullback pair. It's good. How do you then manage to get a job? How do you manage to, get the balance of a players if international breakkeeper to go and play against the Brentford one? Because after that, like I said, there are really, really tough games that Chelsea have about our English Premier League. If truly they can give Liverpool a run for their money, if they can give other teams in the English Premier League, Arsenal a run for their money. Last season, idea about what Chelsea did not have was that lack of consistency. Chelsea did not have that they didn't have that consistency that they needed to have in their teams now. Now Chelsea with the 2 starting fullbacks now playing for their national teams now, I think it's important to Joao Hatu and Malo Gusto also playing some, but Malo Gusto for one has been playing a lot, and Enzo Maresca this season. I've said several times, you have to give a lot of credit to Malo Gusto. The tactical dynamism, playing as a conventional fullback, playing as an inverted fullback, doing the underlaps, doing the overlaps. Our friend Malo Gusto has been very, very important in that regard. And you will need him to do more. You need him to perform even better in that regard when it comes to the games now about the course. It's going to be such an important set of games for Chelsea Football Club. Our matches now, of course, our English Premier League. When you look at Chelsea after that, there's going to be the Bayern game. Like I said, Charlie, Bayern away from home. Our Champions League night on the first game of the Champions League. It sure means that it's a game where you have to manage it well. Players in Beckham managing the load of the players, and Enzo Maresca is doing just that, or training partner on Lewis Steele. Or say earlier on in the window, Joao Pedro was one on the list. Our offer was offered to Liverpool at some point in the year. Paul Barber, who was a Brighton CEO, was going around telling other parties that Liverpool were interested. That was maybe Liverpool being used to drive up the market value of Joao Pedro before he went to Chelsea. Of course, that is something I've said several times about how clubs use marketing techniques to be able to get the best out of players when you want them to come in. Of course, Joao Pedro has come to Chelsea and he has set the ground running. And like I said, Miami and Marchand will play their last game on international break and they will fly to London. When they fly to London, it's a big game that awaits them this weekend. London derby against team friend Brentford. Denzel Dumfries in the last few hours has been talking about the possibility of he playing in the English Premier League. Now, Denzel Dumfries say the Premier League is a fantastic competition. I am happy at Inter, but I think I could do very well in England if there are professional opportunity. Certainly, I will be interested. That is a brand here, your friend Denzel Dumfries when he was asked about the Premier League. Of course, under Christian Kivu, I don't think Inter team, is a team where a lot of these players will be staying there for a very long time. But then again, I'm very certain with time you will see players, your friend Denzel Dumfries probably moving on from the Italian Serie A to move to other places like the English Premier League. The English Premier League offers that physicality that Denzel Dumfries has, and definitely would want to come in. But again, would you want to just go to any team or it's purely going to be the top teams now. And our brand here, Denzel Dumfries, I would want to play his football for. Now, we had some good news on the camp of football club Real Madrid. We had some good news apart from them, especially with the injury of our brand here, your friend of Jude Bellingham, Eduardo Camavinga, and our brand here friend Hendrik Ramirez. And Jude Bellingham will be back in training on the pitch this week. Some training with the team are not ruled out either. The player feels very good and is eager to return after signing holiday in El Horn. It's a good one, and I think that this weekend or pictures of him on holiday with a girlfriend, and his team is returning. It looks as if he's fine and he's fit and ready to go. Eduardo Camavinga and Hendrik Ramirez are also two players who are also fit and ready to go for Team Real Madrid. That means that it gives Coach Alfredo Xabi Alonso a lot of quality from the bench, a lot of quality from elsewhere for them to come in and deliver for Team Alfredo FC Real Madrid. It's very, very important. What's his name? Madrid for to get a brand here friend Jude Bellingham ready to go, because this is such an important player. Madrid for no back to Team your friend Real Sociedad after international break, and we're going to play in the Champions League against Marseille. Then they play Espanyol, they'll play against Levante, Atletico de Madrid, Kirat Almaty or Champions League, and they play against Villarreal. It's a set of interesting games that are coming on when it comes to Madrid going away from home to go and play on games. Now, really interesting stuff that's going to go on for football club Real Madrid. And now Spain for went to play a game. I think that's the last game for the Spanish national team. If that's the last game they are, then it means that my brand here, your friend Marco Correa, will be returning to Chelsea, and it's going to be a good one for him. And if Marco Correa returns to Chelsea, then that's exactly what probably Enzo Maresca would have loved to, because if you get a quality of our brand here, friend Marco Correa coming back to come and rest and prepare for the game against Brentford, and then Bayern is on the horizon, Champions League is coming, and definitely there are going to be a lot of conversation on. Let's enter Football Club Barcelona and let's see what the updates is. Barca for what are they saying? What is going on Barcelona? Spotify company no over there. Barca have not yet ruled out Gavi and Frankie de Jong for the match against Valencia. They continue with their respective treatments and will not undergo further tests today. Barca still thinks Valencia, your friend of Gavi and your friend of Frankie de Jong will be in. Lamine Yamal lost his passport in Turkey yesterday. He couldn't find it, so the RFEF spoke with the local authorities so he could leave without issues and return to Barcelona. Of course, I mean, that is very sad. When the passport, what it means that the authorities now obviously had to speak to the Turkish authorities, and then they moved to Barcelona, and then of course obey a new passport. Brand here, your friend Lamine Yamal. Ancelotti shows double standards. Madrid's Brazilians rest in Spain, while Rafinha must play in Bolivia in 4,100 meters in a match where Brazil has nothing at stake. It makes no sense to risk the Barca player with such brutal physical wear over there. I think this is Barca fans complaining is that Carlo Ancelotti has left Vinicius Junior more than the other day in Madrid to rest, whilst Madrid have already qualified. Brazil have already qualified for the World Cup. A branch friend Rafinha has to go and play in Bolivia with a very high altitude. Very high altitude bar, and they think it's not an important game for Madrid for them. So why is Carlo Ancelotti worrying about your friend Rafinha to go there to go and play our home? I mean, you can understand. You can understand the conversation, and then it's a big day for Football Club Barcelona. Big day in the sense that Barcelona it's this week, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, they are going to find and determine what the issues are, the final determinant of Spotify company, whether they'll be able to play Champions League, whether they'll be able to play Spanish La Liga, or they have to go to Johan Cruyff, or even Adam Mujic. My catch up several times said one of the things that Barca will aid Barca into some form of financial independence is if they're able to sort out the issues of the stadium and finally return to the Spotify camp now and go and play some good football there. Juan Laporta has arrived at the club offices. Today is important in making sure they go back to the Spotify company. Today, Barca's doctors will test Frankie de Jong to see if he can play against Valencia for now, he's a serious doubt. He had a problem with the Dutch national team, and he had to send him back to Barcelona for to do an assessment and see if he'll be able to play on. And there's a very, very funny and international break bar for the Dutch national team. On five of the 8 clubs Barca will meet in the Champions League this season have spent more than them this summer. PSG has spent on Zabani, Enes Chevalier, Frankfurt, Atto Duan, Christensen, Stair, Club Brugge Munya spent more than Team Friend Football Club Barcelona. Of course, they have to deal with them. I mean, Barca's strength is not in just the sales, it's not in just the bringing in of new players, but then also more about the players that have come from elsewhere, the players in the academy that have gotten the job done for Football Club Barcelona. 9 current first team players have never played at the Camp Nou as Barca players. Juan Garcia, Szczesny, Kobasi, Martin, Bernal, Casado, Fermin, Omo, and then Marcus Rashford. And that is something. I mean, the Camp Nou is the spiritual home of Barca, and you'd expect the Barca to be bored. And once Barca play at a Spotify Camp Nou, it's big, and it puts them into a place where they are willing to fight, and Charlie soon will for them to be able to deliver. And that's why Barcelona are pushing, because 9 of the first team players none of them have played at the Spotify Camp Nou before. None of them know how it feels to play at the Spotify Camp Nou. That is not good for Football Club Barcelona. And I'm very certain, sir, that is why Juan Laporta has moved straight to the Spotify Camp Nou to go and make sure, say, on the boys, they'll put things together, they'll average and set up a team that will be able to compete and then be able to sort out the things about the Spotify Camp Nou. Then they can go back there and then go and play some very, very good football. To see how things are going to pan out from there when it comes to star players. Xabi Alonso is happy with the summer transfers now, according to a lot of reports. Still, we'll have things to talk about when it comes to Chelsea 4 players for me the highest, and still Brentford friend Raheem Sterling, somebody who doesn't play for Chelsea Football Club. Raheem Sterling, who doesn't play for Chelsea Football Club. He's one of the players who still earns the highest at Chelsea Football Club, and it's worrying for them. They still have to find a way to manage Raheem Sterling in sense when you have to manage, especially in terms of wage, because Oji 300,000, like I said the last time, on Rhys James, Edgy, the amount of money yearly, Oji 15.1 million, West Fofana 12.5 million, and top 3, in fact, top 3 players, one of them more about Rhys James injury prone, West Fofana injury prone, unless Enzo Fernandez, Marco Correa, Pedro Neto, Moises Caicedo, Joao Pedro, Cole Palmer, Joao Hato. These are Chelsea players now. Any of the wages I mean, it's really interesting in terms of how Chelsea for a wage be on Etienne. They would want to at least manage it, especially, and let's go over Brentford friend Raheem Sterling. Saying that will be able to register some more players on the team who will be able to play and compete. Ole Hoeneß, honorary president of Bayern Munich, Nicolas Jackson, there will definitely not be a permanent clause, of course. Ole Hoeneß here. I don't know what can I say now. We'll see what's going to happen over there for Brentford, your friend Nicolas Jackson. Fiifi Manfred on YouTube, of course, guys. We'll draw the curtain here this afternoon. Evening, we'll bring some more on the Black Stars post-match analysis now. I was on Fiifi Manfred. If you want to subscribe to the channel now, subscribe and turn on notification. Until then, do take care. Bye-bye.